And I told him, listen, we got, I don't know if you can't even get them.
No,
we brought the balloons out.
Balloons in the rafters.
And we put the balloons in the rafters.
What are they for? The Cavs?
No, we're there for Jarrett Allen. Congratulations, Jarrett Allen.
Oh, what?
Jarrett
I'm becoming
Allen,
a man?
You, my guy. You have, yes, indeed. Give me the balloon.
He was unbelievable.
Jarrett Allen, congratulations. Listen, it's not on the birth of a new child. It's not because you got a new home. It's because you have been indoctrinated back in and is officially part of the core four. You saved the Cavaliers season. Listen.
I feel like there should be 4 balloons.
I was just so happy for you. Like, I don't know what happened between the first quarter and the first and the fourth, but bro, you were a man-child. You couldn't be stopped. You blocked shots. You ran the court. You were nasty. And
you talk smack.
And you picked up a flagrant foul. I said, let's go. Only thing we needed was a flagrant 2, but we're not going to have all that. But shout out to congratulations to Jarrett Allen because he saved you.
So we're just going to dive right in. But I asked Jarrett Allen after the game.
He was incredible.
In the post-game press conference.
Yeah.
Hey, J.A., you're a pretty quiet guy. You're not the most vocal guy. But we saw at the end of the game, you yelling at R.J. Barrett, Go home. And he was sitting up at the podium with Donovan. And Jason, were you in the
I was in the workroom, so I was through the glass.
Donovan looks at him and goes, you said that?
Yeah.
Insert word I can't say on TV that starts with an M and ends with an R.
Yeah.
I can't believe you. Dr. J.A. And Jarrett goes, I was feeling myself last night. I was feeling myself tonight. I don't know what got into me.
Well, whatever it was, can we bottle it up and make sure he has it for the Detroit series?
It was incredible. So just a couple stats to throw out here. Steve, if you want to take the highlights, play the highlights. I'm going to read you a couple stats about Jarrett Allen and the historical excellence that he entered last night. So, Steve, whenever you want to take these highlights, please take these highlights full and look at some of these things that Jarrett Allen did last night. He became just the second Cavalier ever with 20 points and 15 rebounds in a Game 7, joining one LeBron James. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds in the third quarter alone. He is only the second player all season, all 82 regular season games, all playoffs, all 30 teams, to put up a double-double in the same quarter. He had 22 points, 19 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists, so he had 5 stocks. Only player to have a 22-19 5-stock game in a Game 7 since Kevin Garnett in 2004. And our trivia question later in the show, I'm going to give you the number. You can think about it the whole show, but he's the first player with 22 points, 19 rebounds, and 3 blocks in a Game 7 since who? That's the trivia question later.
Wow.
That's a little tease till the end of the show, but it has been quite a while.
No, I think all.
All.
The entire NBA.
It's the first player since. I'm asking who the last one is. But Jarrett Allen was absolutely incredible. And Game 7 will be remembered as the Jarrett Allen game, which is crazy because he started out Game 6 almost dying. That first play, when he got taken out of the air, he shed the label on a little bit of the softness, at least for now. He talked about shedding the narrative and all that. But Jarrett Allen was incredible last night. And no matter how much we talk about over the next 2 hours, it won't be enough for how well he actually played.
No, it won't be, but here's my fear. He could easily go out in Game 1 and have 5 points, 2 rebounds.
100%.
So I will say this. I never expected that Jarrett Allen to show up. I already had the obituary for that Jarrett Allen because we kept saying we hope that we see a tough guy. We hope that we see a difference maker. I had kind of written that off. And I felt like I was watching. Do you guys remember? You're too young, probably. Do you remember that back in the day, the ABC after-school movies?
Oh, yeah.
I felt like I was watching an ABC after-school movie where in the first hour and a half, the bullies just tormented this kid to where you were at home on your couch crying as you were eating your Cheetos saying, man, come on, dude, step up. Mm-hmm. You're screaming at the TV, become a man, step up. And then one day in the garage working on his bike, his dad comes out and he tells him, son, there's a time in every man's life when he has to stand up for himself and go get it. And then all of a sudden you could hear the music, the dramatic music as it come out of halftime, and it was like Superman Jarrett Allen. Mm-hmm. And the most frustrating thing for me, as happy as I was to see it, A, what the hell took so long? And B, are we ever going to see it again?
Well, it doesn't. It matters if you see it again, but they needed this right now to survive.
He carried them, Jay. Without him,
half,
the series is over. The season's over.
And this is the guy. Of course, everybody knows the lights were too bright in New York. That famous line, the Orlando series, and all that went into that when he got hurt, and we wrote about it. There were people frustrated that he wouldn't take a shot.
Wasn't he day-to-day for a month?
Yeah, and never played again the rest of that postseason.
Right.
And just the question, and he vanished last year in the postseason, and just all the questions that have always surrounded him. To come out and put out the performance that he did in the second half, and particularly the third quarter, it literally saved their season. If they lose that game, there's no telling how deep the destruction may go.
You're right.
On a first-round exit with
Donovan could be gone.
The Donovan contract this summer. What happens to Kenny Atkinson's future? There's so much out there that this whole thing, you will never know because, at least for now, they staved off elimination, and it's because of him. So, and he's such a good dude. Like, you feel good for him that he had this moment, and Mike alluded to it. He talked about the labels and how hard it is to shake labels, but he can't really worry about that because if he worries about the past, it'll affect his future. But he knows what's been said about him and how it's gone to this point. So he was fabulous on the defensive end. I told Mike with about a minute left in the first half, I'm like, oh, the Cavs are going to win this game because they played as poorly as they could play,
and they were still there
in the first half, and they were within a bucket.
Yeah.
And then it's tied at the half, and you just had that feeling like there was too much talent. Eventually, the talent was going to win, and they were able to pull it out.
I knew what the whole process was going to be if they would have took that game. Listen, Dan Gilbert sent me a picture of Dr. Claw petting the cat with the finger on the button, being like, all you saw was his hand. If they they'd have lost that game, the button was getting pressed and everything's getting a smooth reset. Jarrett, this is why I love sports though. Because you can talk about somebody all you want. You can bring up their past, you can bring up what they should have been, you can bring up what they could have been. But the thing about sports is every single time that you get an opportunity to step on the floor, you got an opportunity to rewrite your own history. And Jarrett Allen stepped up and saved the Cavs season. And everything that he did was exactly what they needed. I tweeted before game 1, or before game 7, I say, game 7 ain't necessarily about making shots. Game 7 ain't about just acting like you're calm if you're down 10 points. I said, no, game 7 is you being okay with taking the first swing and getting the last blow too. So I want you to be the first to meaningful contact. And Jarrett Allen, look at this play right here. Max Strus, by the way, we got to give him a blue ribbon a little bit too. He was in on that. I thought Max Strus's energy along with Jarrett Allen was a nice 1-2 combo.
Made a difference.
The other guys had
snuck
a big
in a headbutt.
Yeah, and I liked it. And you know what? I like both of them. You know why? Because I was waiting for the Cavs to punch back. The whole series, the Raptors made it a dogfight. They were more intense. They were more physical. But in a small moment when they were down 12 points, I said, I need somebody to do something. Somebody got to start a fight. Somebody got to start. And the fight don't have to be physical. The fight has to be the mental. And I thought that when it was close at halftime, and I said, oh, they didn't it's even. And then they came out, and I think
7-0 run.
7-0 run. That was it.
Yeah, lights out.
That was it. That was it right there.
Yeah.
So, Jarrett Allen, we don't know if we're going to see it. I ain't even ready to move on to the next series yet. I'm just going to give him his flowers for what he did right here. And it's setting up for a very, very nice storyline between Detroit and Cleveland.
Oh, my gosh. And Allen and JB have a little bit of history. So that's going to, this is, for JB, this is like what he's been sleeping for 2 years.
This is Super
He
Bowl.
wakes up every morning with this very scenario.
This is
regardless of what he says, this will be very important.
Yeah, you can talk all you want. It's just another series. This will either be a dream of a lifetime come true or a nightmare for JB. And I think that's in the Cavs' hands. One question about Jarrett Allen. I was wondering after the game, what was said at halftime? What did he eat? What the hell happened? Did Kenny talk about that? Did J.A. talk about that?
Yeah, so actually everyone, Jarrett was the story of the game, and everyone who spoke, Donovan, James, Jarrett, Kenny, all talked about what they saw from Jarrett beforehand. Kenny said that Jarrett's usually a reserved, kind of quiet guy, but in the pregame warm-ups and at the opening player introductions, it was like he was an Energizer bunny. He was bouncing off the walls. Jarrett said, hey, I knew it's a Game 7. It's the first Game 7 I've ever played in my career. I was ready. In the locker room at Game 5, at halftime of Game 5, it was Jarrett who stood up and said, hey, everyone's got to give more. I need everything you can. I need every last person in this locker room to give me the 110%, 120%, whatever. And he said, once I said that, I couldn't be the one that didn't bring it myself. So I needed to hold myself to the same standard.
Yeah.
I was trying to hold everyone else. James Harden said that, Jarrett doesn't talk often, but he said 3 words before the tip-off of Game 7, so he knew he was locked in.
LFG?
I don't know what the 3 words were. It could have been anything, but I think the exact quote was he said 4 words or 3 words. But they all said they saw Jarrett come in with a focus and determination that this wasn't going to be the end of the season.
So I say we play a prank on Jarrett. And
every game
before
Game 7.
Tomorrow night, Kenny walks in, he goes, all right, boys, here we are, Game 7. And just everything is Game 7 from here on out.
It was an awesome performance. And, you mentioned Max Strus. As good as Jarrett was, and I'm not taking anything away from Jarrett, the Cavs don't win last night if they don't get really solid contributions from Strus, Merrill, and Tyson.
Jalen Tyson,
all 3 of those
yeah.
guys in individual capacities allowed
Harden
Cleveland.
and Mitchell did not play superior games.
And when you look at the big picture, now that they've won the series, we could zoom out. I didn't think the Cavs played up to their standard. I thought Toronto played way over their skis, and the Cavs were able to beat a 4-5 matchup with their best player, Donovan Mitchell, having a significantly subpar series for what you'd expect from your superstar.
How does it benefit the Cavs going into Detroit that they were tied at halftime in Game 7 at home? Like that they got a fight for all the games.
Well, Detroit got the same fight.
They did.
Detroit
should have been eliminated Saturday night.
So you can talk about, and Kenny did, like he thinks this series helped them more than blowing out Miami last year, where they weren't really tested, and then they walked into the fire against the Pacers, where obviously the Cavs were pushed to the limit this time, and he felt like it will galvanize them, and he called it a cleansing. Just getting out of the first round, doesn't matter how you played, just make it out of the first round.
Just win.
And there's merit to that. Now,
Boston's done.
So there's 2 ways to look at this. One, you can be encouraged that the Cavs advance when Donovan and Harden, neither one had a great series.
No.
And Mobley was terrific at various turns, quite a bit throughout the series.
Hitting threes in big spots.
He was great. And Jarrett Allen, obviously, last night was great. So that's the encouraging part, because there was a time when this organization couldn't do anything if Donovan didn't do it for him. So that's if you want to look at the glass half full, that's it. The flip side is if they play like this, they're going to be done in 2 weeks. They've got to play better than what they did against Toronto if they're going to beat Detroit. And they're going to have to get better contributions, more contributions out of Donovan and James. So be thankful for the win. It's great that Mobley emerged and became the player that Mike and I have been begging him to be for 3 years. Jarrett obviously rose to the occasion last night. If that can continue, the version of the Cavs that we saw in the second half last night can win a championship. If Donovan and James establish themselves and play to the level that we know they can.
Yeah, they have to come back to normal.
Yeah. And I'm not going. Listen, you won Game 7, great, awesome. The things that we look at moving forward is, I don't know, McNuggets. The ball movement on offense, not enough bodies moving. That first half, they were very stagnant, and I thought Jalen Tyson. There's 2 games in the series where one of them he got the ball at the elbow and somebody made a backdoor cut, and I think he hit somebody on the back door. Yesterday, they were really packing in the lane. I think somebody got into the lane, they kicked it to him, and he hit a really quick skip pass, and it was open for an open 3. I forget who hit the 3, but they need more overall ball movement, because the thing that we talk about all the time is I think the Detroit Pistons will definitely use some of the same defensive coverages that the Raptors did. I was a little alarmed that Donovan Mitchell was not able to get into the paint. It seemed like he couldn't beat guys off the dribble. I thought Scotty Barnes mirrored him well. I thought Scotty Barnes blanketed him and James Harden. So to me, I want to know what the adjustment is, because sometimes when you are running ISO heavy and you're trying to run pick and roll and you're just counting them guys to hit shots, sometimes that could get stagnant to a point where it grinds to a halt. And I thought in the first half that the offense was a little stagnant. I think Detroit will use some of those same things.
Toronto and their coaching staff deserves the utmost respect and appreciation and credit for this entire defensive schematic scheme that they threw out here at Cleveland.
What were they doing?
Top locking Donovan and James for 94 feet, which essentially denying them the basketball, saying it's 4-on-4 without you two. They were, I mentioned this on Friday's show. Toronto and the way they played defense was the equivalent of a knuckleballer in baseball.
So it's gimmicky, but it works.
Now, it worked for sure in this series, and by the end of it, you could see the Cavs get a little more comfortable and a little more comfortable. They were sending help from positions that you're not supposed to send help from. They were trapping from positions where traditional basketball principles you don't trap from. I thought James did a much better job as the series went on, kind of understanding some of what Toronto was doing. I didn't think Don did a really good job of figuring out on the fly, which is why he struggled so much to get into the paint. I've never seen Don drive into as many double teams as he did, not just in Game 7, but throughout the course of the series. I think the reason Toronto was sending people from areas that they shouldn't be sent from. Last night, though, and you can see in a couple of these plays, he made the right pass. He eventually understood what Toronto was doing. And the dagger that Max Strus hit late, that last three that really clinched the deal, was the perfect encapsulation of that. They trapped help side. They sent the strong side help, unconventional. Scotty Barnes, who was on Max Strus in the pick and roll, then went to the opposite wing. And, Steve, actually, I had the play. It's at the very bottom. It's called Strus dagger. It's 6:14. You can see this in real time, actually. Watch Barnes go all the way through. They've had the soft side help. They leave Strus open on the backside.
Wow.
Donovan wasn't seeing that pass in Games 3 and 4.
So it's about finding the soft spot that they're giving you.
In this particular instance, give Toronto credit. They completely took the Cavs out of what they offensively wanted to do. Detroit doesn't necessarily play defense like that, but after seeing how much success Toronto had, I'd be shocked if they don't steal some of those principles as well.
Chalk that up.
But the Cavs now have 6-7 games of experience with that. They're not going to be taken back by it. And, Jay, you could compare this to baseball. If someone's throwing 99 and all of a sudden a knuckleballer comes in, it takes you a second to adjust.
Sure.
But you face a knuckleballer 2-3 nights in a row, you're going to get a much better handle on how to
100%.
adjust and hit that knuckleballer.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Cavs against Detroit, this will be night 2 or 3 against the knuckleballer if Detroit tries to play that defense. But, G, you're right. The Cavs' offense was not good this series, but I want to make sure we're giving enough credit to Toronto because what they did defensively was beyond impressive, and I didn't see it coming in a million.
Let me just say, I'll say this. Shout out to Toronto. Listen, Scotty Barnes earned my respect. I can't make no more nothing about him. I thought Scotty Barnes, to me, was the best player in that series, especially when you don't have Brandon Ingram quickly. He handled the ball. He was a monster on the boards. He hit his open shot. He's a much improved mid-range shooter.
And him getting in foul trouble, I think that had a lot to do with the Cavs coming back.
Yeah.
Taking the lead and stretching the lead because he's their leader. And when he's on the floor watching or on the bench watching, that's where the Cavs really put some distance between
I thought their coaching staff did a much better job. I give the Raptors play hard. To be truthful, to be that undermanned and to have their leading scorer out, their point guard out, and to be in a Game 7 where you're up 12 points with not very much pieces and parts, I got to give Toronto credit. They played their tail off, and I give Scotty Barnes a lot of credit. He's a good basketball player, man.
Mike, are we going to predict it all today? Or
yeah, we're going to do it in the YouTube hour. We're going to make our predictions. And at the end of the YouTube hour, we're going to do a segment called Hand Up My Bad. We're going to look back at some of the things that we got wrong about this Toronto series and how it applies to the Detroit series moving forward. But great win for the Cavs. Style points don't matter in the playoffs. It ain't the college football playoff seeding system where you're trying to get in. It's just win, advance, and the Cavs on Tuesday night will take on the Detroit Pistons.
Imagine what's going on in Boston right now. They're doing an autopsy that they didn't think they'd be doing.
If we're being honest, Philly looked like the best team in the East.
Philly scares the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah.
What's
all the teams?
What's Embiid's status, though, health-wise?
Right now, he's healthy.
He got rolled into, but I think he's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you look at that. You look at that line. By the way,
they were fantastic.
Paul George is out here looking like
I
saw him.
Old Paul George.
I'll have what he's having.
Bro, this man,
2018 Paul George.
He was locking people. I said, dang, I think somebody hit the shot. Paul George had him stonewalled. He switched off. I'm like, when did Paul George start moving?
You know what I wonder, G and Jay? Like you said, 2018 Paul George. When you get older, you can play at the level you once did for a minute.
Yeah, for a second.
It's a Toby Keith song.
That's a Toby Keith song waiting to be written.
I'm not as good as I once was, but I can be as good once as I ever was.
Yeah, and
Right,
that's kind of what you think of when you watch Paul George. Because I actually was saying, watching them in Game 7, I'm glad there's a team between the Cavs and provided the Cavs win, between the Cavs and the Sixers in the NBA Finals.
You're
because
right.
by then, he's going to be even more tired.
It was only one round.
Yeah.
But they looked so much better than I thought they would.
Matt,
to me, they're the surprise. I mean, obviously, what were they, a 6?
Seven.
Seven.
Maxi's speed is a 99. This man gets to the rack whenever he wants. That Edgecombe, this little young dude, I'm like, man, he got bounce. He's hitting open shots. And then look, you think about it like this. Embiid came back and gave you a 30-point Embiid type game.
Sure.
So
It looked like he turned it back.
If you turn Embiid back to the MVP and you get Paul George back a couple of years, you take a look at their lineup with Maxey, Edgecombe, you got Embiid, you got Paul George, and Kelly Oubre is energy up.
If they can sustain Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid, is there a better threesome in the East? I'd put them above the Cavs threesome.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard to argue.
It's very tough.
And I don't love Embiid at all.
Well, I haven't, but I didn't see the Embiid that I've grown to hate in the Celtics series.
Yeah.
I saw him mature, composed. I thought he was very driven and focused. I don't recognize that Joel Embiid
Well,
anymore.
now they got to do it again.
I know.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think this series will tell us if they're really real or not. I mean, they're healthy, and they didn't play a ton during the regular season, so they're ready to go. Now we'll see if they can sustain it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. What a shocker that was. Boston is out. And, if you would have told me going into the playoffs that Boston was going to be a one-round bounce, I would say, regardless of what happened, I'd say, well, the Cavs, here it is.
It's wide open.
Here it is. Here's your runway.
But everybody in the East feels that way.
I know they do.
Philly looks around and says, we can run this.
Yeah.
Detroit looks around and says, Boston's out, we can run this. The Knicks feel that way.
Yep.
All 4 teams in the East should feel like the East is open.
I can't
for them.
wait for the Knicks Sixer series.
That's
going to be fantastic.
Both of these series are going to be street fights. Both of them.
Yeah.